What's up, family? It is your man, CRB Jr., Courtney Robert Brown Jr. here at Motown Mafia Podcast, Big Boss Filmworks, with my partner in crime and brother, Lou Stevens. What's happening, family?
What's cooking, brother?
Man, everything, Lou. You know,
right.
We were just kicking it, overwhelmed with the support.
Yeah.
You know, here all over, worldwide. People chiming in Spanish. I got to get my Spanish game up. I got some mommy friends down in the Dominican Republic that's helping me with my Spanish so I can start to read our commenters. So it's just great to see our reach spreading.
Oh yeah.
And of course the love we get here in the city, we are just thankful for.
Yeah.
So on that note, make sure you guys are hitting that like, share, and subscribe button. And a lot of hot things going. We got the Patreon channel about to come, right?
Patreon channel about to come. Making of the Mafia headed up.
Much anticipated, long awaited. Making of the Mafia, how it all began, how the nexus of Al Prophet, Scott Bernstein, Brother Ice, all the way reaching out to Silicon Valley billionaires like Ben Horowitz, and shout out to Ben and his dad, Dave Horowitz, to Michael Ovitz, former president of Disney, back to the block with the homie Kevin Childs and Don Diva, and networking with them. Brother Black and Brother Una and Sister Una.
Yeah.
At Feds.
Yeah.
And the whole run with them and how this whole thing came to be. Shout out to Uncle Butch. What up, Unc? Unc coming back.
Yeah, we got another
the Street
season. Another
the Three
season.
Source is coming back. The Black Dispatch, the one and only Detroit living street legend.
Gonna take you back to some of the areas we didn't cover in the last season of the Black Dispatch.
Gotta throw out some bait to the family out there. Mr. Cooper, aka Pep, the interview is still awaiting. This mic is waiting for you. Shout out also to my brother Eddie Baby down there. If you guys ain't checking him out, check out Real True Street Crimes. Eddie Baby on Instagram, Eddie Jackson Jr. But there's a couple reasons why I bring up James Cooper, aka Pep. Just a phenomenal story. So I'm really begging you, bro. You got to come out. You owe it to the city. This guy hustled with Butch Jones, hustled with Raymond Peoples, hustled with WW, Wonderful Wayne, and hustled with the Fat Man. I mean, he's got a resume in the streets that few.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We got a hot interview too with an attorney.
Shelley Harpin, absolute legal legend here. We sat down with Shelley. Shelley was one of the original lawyers on the case back with Milton Henry and H. Ross Black. The big case, the grand hustle, as I call it.
Yeah. The
one in the 70s to run from 69 to 77, where Eddie Jackson took over this town and made legend.
Yes.
Fat Steve, Big Steve, 5. I mean, and I want to get into why you guys got to come out and share your stories, because what we're talking about today is that new show on Starz called Force.
Force, yes.
And have you had a chance to check it out?
I have, yes.
So on Force, the street gang that Tommy is linked up with or doing business with, their acronym is CBI, Chicago Boys Incorporated. Now, family, don't let anyone be confused. That is a spinoff from YBI.
Big time.
The good people at G Unit, shout out to G Unit Productions, shout out to 50 and what they're doing. But that if you watch Force, the Tommy show on Starz, when they're talking about CBI, that name didn't just come out the blue. CBI, Chicago Boys Incorporated.
Parallels are undeniable.
Undeniable. So that story of all that major drama that went on with that YBI situation, someone is going to tell those stories, and it overlaps and affected Detroit and the nation in so many ways. So people like Mr. Cooper Pep, people like Mr. Goodwin, Five, I mean, you guys got some phenomenal insights and lived some phenomenal lives when it comes to this thing. And we all need to just organize ourselves. Detroit is hot.
Big time.
Because as we said, and again, shout out to the whole BMF team, Lil Meech, and T, and all those guys. Because again, to understand BMF, you got to understand YBI.
Yes.
But to understand YBI, you got to understand the Eddie Jackson organization.
That's right.
Because that takes you from Detroit 1970 to the turn of the century. If you understand the Eddie Jackson organization of the 70s, you understand the YBI situation of the 80s, and then leading into the 90s, and the conduit back to BMF and Meech. Again, we have some insight to some people and some things that's really going to get unpacked in that BMF documentary, to really going to connect some dots on how that BMF thing roots go all the way back to the projects and back to the era where this whole Motown Mafia thing comes from. So
absolutely. And you also have to understand that these stories can get snowfalled.
And when you say Snowfall, elaborate to the family what happened with Snowfall.
Ricky Ross.
Freeway Ricky
Ross. Not only did the illustrious artist gain fame off of his name, but then the show gained
critical acclaim and millions made for Netflix
off of his story. So what you don't want to happen is for you, the hustler, not to have control of your story. You want to gain control, get your book out, put it out to the world, and that way you can avoid.
And holler at your man. Anybody who knows me knows that, let's say that I know my way around both the block, and I know my way around the corporate boardroom.
There you go.
I'm always open to listen and to help. We've done some things to protect our intellectual property. And I'm all about the partner, and I get it. I know there's so many guys. We've got a phenomenal story with what my pops and Eddie did, but there's a ton of Detroit. It's hard now because Detroit, we've fallen off. The city's half the size that it used to be. But for guys in Detroit who were doing their things in the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s, Detroit, probably outside of Harlem, was the epicenter, ground zero for this street.
Without question.
It was done here in the D as big as it can be. And that's no shade on Philly, Chicago, or nobody else. But Detroit's resume of hustlers really speaks for itself.
Without question.
Snake Pink Gators, my Detroit players. These from our hooligans in Brooklyn. But so, like the show. Like the show for us. Wasn't quite sure, I'll be honest. I loved Power season 1. The storyline, as it always happens with those things, started to get a little weird for me.
Yeah.
So a couple things I like about Force. It's good to see again them to remind the world that many white people are involved in organized crime and in the narcotics trade.
That's right.
The majority, actually, of the dealers in Force are white, and they did a really clever job by making, Chicago, by setting it in Chicago, which is a very large ethnic town, big Polish population, big Irish population, big Serbian population. They're able to show those different communities and their organized crime elements, which of course brings more people into this, opens up the storyline to a lot more people than just being us. I was saying what I kind of liked about the way they did the thing with Tommy moving the story out of New York and into Chicago. Chicago being such a ethnic town, full of Serbians, Irish, Polish, right? You just don't get the chance to see a lot, or the reminders of people that there is still a Polish mafia, there is still a Serbian mafia, there is still an Irish mafia. those communities are still active in the underworld.
Yeah.
And Chicago was a good setting for that. Not to mention it's just good business because it allows for them to develop some white characters and storylines. So you've got the big Irish gangster, his son and daughter both jockeying to take over the family business.
Right.
Doing business with the brothers that CBI spinoff of YBI, that CBI Chicago Boys Incorporated, and Tommy.
I do want to say something. The drug that they come up with. Do you think that was supposed to mirror crack?
No, I think Dahlia, the drug.
Dahlia, yes.
The drug that it's a synthetic drug.
Okay.
Right? So that was another point I wanted to bring up. So I think they tapped on a couple things because Dahlia is this synthetic drug. So I think it's a little bit more like a shot at ecstasy or Molly.
Or Molly, okay.
Or some of the more designer drugs.
Got you.
I think they're showing how like those designer drugs that used to kind of be, because the whole kind of thing that, designer drugs are for white people. That ain't for white kids, rave, party people. They're not street things. But as we've seen with Molly and ecstasy, those things that started off as suburban rich kid party drugs eventually found their way to the block.
To the block, for sure.
I think that's where they're going with that Dahlia thing. But then with the fact that they need that pharmacist, the sister pharmacist, to actually cook it, I think it's just saying a whole lot about the pharmaceutical business and the people who have the skill sets to make drugs.
Yeah, big time.
I think so. That was the first thought I thought with that whole Dahlia thing was, it's just because I remember I was in New York when that ecstasy thing, and the models.
So that had to be the close of the '80s. Am I correct?
That was the late '80s.
Yeah.
Late '80s, and it was really mainstream in the club scene by the '90s. For sure. Yeah. When our community was not even messing with it.
No.
But eventually did.
Yeah, when I DJ'd the rave parties back in the day, those kids were,
off that E.
Right. It was definitely not in the hood.
Right, and so I think, and that's where the whole thing and story is starting to go with Force and what's going on. I'll be interested to see how that storyline plays out.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going on, right? The Irish mob and his daughter, they've got this designer thing, but they need the distribution, they need the manpower, so people who can move it on the streets.
Yeah.
And the guys are figuring out today this is the next hot thing.
Yes.
So I think they're saying a lot of things about a lot of things, that the pharmaceuticals and people who can make those designer drugs, how they have taken over market share from the traditional boy, girl, marijuana business, right?
Yeah.
And the times have changed. In fact, that's what the whole thing is with the Irish guy, right? That his daughter is like, Pops, we've been doing it your way and we made a lot of money, but the world is changing and we got to diversify, right?
And he's fighting tooth and nail to keep everything traditional.
The old school.
Old school.
And I get that because, the guys from my era and definitely beyond that, I was one of those people when all that stuff started coming out and people were approaching us with, you guys should, it was like, look, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We were into organic before organic was fashionable. Right. We didn't deal with a processed thing but I lived to see it. I mean, I remember when, God forbid, you look at this pill epidemic.
Oof.
When this was right when I was getting out of the game, when I was ending my employment at my dad's services. The guys were all running down to the WV, and all of a sudden this thing with the oxys and stuff, and I was like, I'm not dealing with no pills. I don't know nothing about pills. People say, I know it's always been a lot of money in it, but the world changed.
The world changed.
You could have never told me that the kind of money that some people made, in that space is significant.
Absolutely.
Or that rappers would be making songs, Molly Percocets, you know, shit
Making
like-
dirty sprites.
and then yeah. So, but anyway, good show. I'd love to know what the family out there thinks about Force.
Yeah.
Definitely part of pop culture. Again, that whole CBI thing though, the acronym, which is a mirror of the Detroit-based group here, YBI.
It's only a matter of time.
Only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. So, you guys got my number. You guys got my number. But yeah, shout out to the whole family out there like that. And shout out to the Hut. Shout out to Scotty D. Everybody whose path I crossed from that neighborhood. Again, Five Pep. Shout out you, man.
Yeah.
You guys got some great stories. I know you guys got great stories.
Shout out to Big D.
Big Bad D?
No, not Big Bad D. Big D. He had got the moniker Baby Trump.
Oh yeah. We met with your man once.
Yeah, man. Big D, man. We were talking about working on a book, talking about getting him on the show to do some talking. So D, if you're out there and you're watching the show, get at me.
Yeah, I mean, I know better than most. I come from it. First case that a wiretap was ever used on was my dad's case with Eddie. In the state of Michigan, that's actual factual. The Eddie Jackson organization trial was the first time that the federal government ever used wiretap evidence in a case in Michigan. So secrecy and not telling your business, I get it. But family, what we got to understand, this is now history. Our stories and our cultural stories are going to be told. Obviously, you can't get into bodies. We don't talk about bodies and all that on this platform.
No.
I mean, there are some conversations and some things that we know that we will just go to the grave with. They are not meant for YouTube or social media. I mean, but 90% of the shit that happened, everybody already know, and the stories are being mistold and misquoted, and at every barbecue and class reunion, these stories get talked about. Because we all from the same city. Everybody's auntie dated somebody's cousin who knew somebody's brother-in-law. None of this stuff's a secret.
That's right.
It's only a secret in our minds. I mean, people tell me you can't say that, and I'm like, it was in the Detroit News on the front page. The news put our addresses, took pictures of our homes, and put our addresses in there, what schools we went to.
Right.
And most of this stuff has already been litigated in court.
You see?
Time has been served. Statute of limitations way expired. So I would never do anything to jeopardize myself or anybody on the platform with some legal ramifications. If you guys if there's still some, and all that unsettled street beef stuff, we gotta let that go, fam. I'm gonna just put it out there. You know, what somebody said about us 30 years ago, I'm over it. In 86, they said something sideways about the family, about the team. Dude, whatever. That was a long time ago.
Trying to get that
I'm
man.
good with it. We need to all get that bag. This click didn't like that click. We gotta be a little bit mature. And I know it's some real sensitive stuff, and some of these issues cannot easily be resolved. But I mean, for real, family, at a certain point we gotta move on. We gotta move on, and we gotta be businessmen about this shit. So anyway, like it, Force, and following it. It's Sunday night.
Yeah.
We'll probably see another episode of it again. Just had to say that whole thing when I saw that CBI thing, Chicago Boys Incorporated. And I'm like, wow, my friends from YBI. I keep telling you guys. But we got to see how this Hollywood thing is working. And there are some people here in the home team that again, we can't really go into it.
Yeah.
We got a lot of things in the fire.
A lot of coals in the fire.
A lot of coals in the fire.
One I can let go.
What's that?
The updated Motown Mafia.
Oh yeah, with never seen before footage.
Never seen before footage. and new interviews from some of the principal members.
Yeah. So that keeps going. If you guys don't know, if you come in under a rock, well, not under a rock, I mean, there's a lot of content out there to absorb. We're talking about the documentary that was based upon the book, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, available on Amazon. But then you got the documentary, Motown Mafia, the story of Eddie Jackson and Courtney Brown, available on Tubi TV. That's a free app. You can check it out for free. And then also available on Amazon Prime. So check out the doc. If you haven't got the book, get the book. Hustle and Grind Book Fair coming up. We'll get more information. Hustle and Grind.
Michelle Moore, shout out.
Shout out to Michelle Moore, Say You Promise Publishing.
Shout out to Ice Waters.
Ice Water, that was great last year. Ice, brother Kev came by.
Yeah,
Big
beautiful
50,
event.
Big 50 came by.
Big 50.
Who else was there? Terry Woods was there.
Terry Woods was there.
Lady T.
It was a who's who.
Who's who of the black publishing author street world. So looking forward. We're going to be front and center with that again. Trying to get down to Miami.
Trying to get down.
Yeah. Part of the story that you guys will see on Motown, the making of the Mafia. We were early supporters of the ABFF, American Black Film Festival. 2 years that's been canceled due to the pandemic or plandemic. Let that go because they will.
Yeah, I might have to.
May edit that.
I have to blank
beep,
that one.
beep. But yeah, so looking at that, if we get down to Miami, then we can do some unpacking again on location.
Yeah.
My trials and tribulations at Miami International.
Ooh.
It's a lot.
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice. They took the man's money. Rattled the young CB's cage at 22 years old.
The Miami Vice money launderer.
Check it out. Yeah,
check it out in the archives.
In the archives.
I'll bring it back up so you can watch it like it's new.
There was a time.
There was a time.
Yeah, and on that, the Black Ozarks just recently did. We kind of unpacked that again. Again, just how the crime culture continues to fascinate America.
And I will be streaming some of our old posts, some of our longer posts in the wee hours. Little bit of reruns, if you will.
Oh yeah, but I mean, so much of the content, because this channel has grown so much over the last couple of years.
There's so much you haven't seen.
So much stuff and content. We know you guys. It's a lot of work, and there's so much great content out there. You can't always go back in our archives to see it. So we're gonna make it easier for you guys to find some of that stuff and really follow along the storyline. Because again, a lot of people who know us from YouTube, they don't know us from the book. They don't know us from the doc.
They don't know us from the doc. I'll run out and
they don't remember when we were in Don Diva and Feds and all of that.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff, time has passed. So just to bring the family up to pace of where we've been, how we got here, and where we're going.
And I'll run a couple of nights. I'll be running the Motown Mafia on Big Boss Filmworks.
We gotta do that.
So you guys can see everything from the Genesis.
Yeah. So good thing. So Force, check it out once again. Shout out to those boys over there at G Unit. And, shout out again to Scott Bernstein. I think Scott's gonna be back again with BMF.
Yes.
In fact, he was talking about, for season 2 and for the BMF documentary, us all linking up.
Okay.
Maybe do some kind of little party or event.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
For the second season. So shout out to the whole BMF family. Getting some other home team people getting involved with some things, but it is their business to tell. I'm thankful they stopped by to even pull my coat on what is going on.
Yeah.
So shout out to that. Shout out to Brother Bo. Good looking, bringing the family by here. You know who you are. So it's all good, man. A lot going on. So Force, that's our take. That's my take. I'm down with Tommy. I'm gonna keep rolling with Tommy so far. At least for season 1. Season 1, I'm signing off on it. I'm with it. Good job over there. You good?
Good, man. Check me out.
Where you at? How they find you?
Oh, you got to go to Instagram, the Flyers Plus Graphics. If you take a look at all the thumbnails, every video has been produced by yours truly. on YouTube. All the thumbnails, flyers, all the graphics you see behind me.
All that. And don't be bashful, who's one of the producers of the award-winning, critically acclaimed Motown Mafia. Best documentary crime story select, Martha's Vineyard Film Festival. Best doc,
right, my
crime story.
Screenplay guy,
Bronze
Michael
Lens.
Ovitz.
Yeah, Bronze Lens, Atlanta. Winner of New York, LA Film Festival.
Oh, yes.
I mean, let's keep it 100.
Let's keep it 150.
Let's keep it 150. You know, critically acclaimed. What you guys put together there. So yes, work has been viewed from Hollywood heavyweights.
Definitely.
All along the path, and more to come.
Much more.
More to come. So
much more.
There it is. Motown Mafia podcast.
We love y'all, man.
Holla at you, man. Peace.
All right.
It was just time to really tell a great untold Detroit story, because it kind of covers Detroit at its zenith.
Very interesting story.
We decided that we were going to make a movie.
All right, Rich Rossi with you with Motown Mafia. I'm with Courtney
Lewis Stevens.
Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown Jr.
And Alan Al Prophet Bradley.
And this is an entrepreneurial, inspirational story too, because again, you know, I'm a real estate retail guy. You know, that's what my skill set is. But I'm a businessman, so I was like, you know, we're gonna do it. You know, sometimes when you got a dream, you won't have all the answers on how you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
What made this one unique was not so much the crime, but the intertwining with Detroit's history and the Motown era and kind of the economic decline of Detroit. And it's really the story of a family. And from some perspectives, has a happy ending, like you said. For others, it didn't have a happy ending.
Right.